Good afternoon, everyone. Shalom. I'm Shosh Bedrosian, spokeswoman for the National Public Diplomacy Directorate here in the Prime Minister's office. I'll take a few questions after a couple of very brief points to share with you. Please put your name and your outlet inside of the Zoom chat once you have that question, and I'll try to answer it. It is Wednesday, October 29th, and today is day 754 since our murdered hostages have been held inside of Gaza, with Hamas pretending they don't know where they are. 13 of our deceased hostages are still in Gaza, and we are committed to bringing each and every one of them home, no matter the stunts and games Hamas tries to play. We open today with deep sorrow, bearing the weight of the most painful news, the loss of one of our courageous soldiers. Since the war began, 921 IDF heroes have been killed. These are not just numbers. Each one had a story, a future, and was a whole world that's now gone. Master Sergeant Reserves Yona Efi Ephraim Feldbaum was 37 years old and was from Zayit Ranan. He fell in battle in southern Gaza yesterday when Hamas breached the ceasefire. Master Sergeant Feldbaum was an American and Israeli citizen and was the father of 5 children. A horrific tragedy that has now left a family fatherless. After he was killed, he was promoted to the rank of major. He will be laid to rest tomorrow at Mount Herzl military ceremony. And speaking for Israel, the Prime Minister sent his condolences to his family, saying that the nation embraced them during this very, very difficult time. The Prime Minister said Efi fought heroically against the Hamas murderers and gave his life for the security of Israel. His bravery and heroism will be cherished in our hearts forever. May his memory be a blessing. On our hostages, another day has passed, and we still haven't received the remains of any of our 13 murdered hostages in Gaza. It comes after an extremely tense 48 hours filled with deception, lies, and cheating by Hamas, cheating Israel, cheating President Trump, cheating the Americans, and cheating the world. Israel has a contract and an agreement with the Americans under this deal, and Hamas has a contract under this agreement with the Americans. As we uphold our side, the Americans and President Trump continue to be cheated by Hamas. Prime Minister Netanyahu often quotes Winston Churchill, who once said, "A lie gets halfway around the world before the truth has a chance to get its pants on." Israel continues to work tirelessly to show journalists the truth about who Hamas really is. Yet too many in the press have chosen the easier path, repeating Hamas's propaganda instead of challenging it. When you repeat their lies, you become part of the problem. Hamas can find our hostages' bodies, and we know this based on evidence and precise intelligence. It is evident, it is clear, and yesterday's drone video proves they are holding onto the remains of our hostages to pull stunts to prolong this. A true testament that the terror group doesn't want peace. Instead, they want to continue war. Not only does the terror group mess around with dead bodies, their disregard for our murdered hostages speaks volumes. The remains of murdered hostage Ofir Tsarfati were thrown around, dropped, and played with for Hamas to advance their insidious games on Monday. As we remain steadfast and committed to upholding the framework, Prime Minister Netanyahu met with senior security officials last night to discuss the ongoing violations Hamas has committed under this agreement. They discussed Israel's steps in response to these violations. Now, near the conclusion of that meeting, Hamas terrorists in Rafah carried out an attack against IDF forces behind the Yellow Line, which is an area under Israeli operational control, all in accordance with the ceasefire agreement in Gaza. Following the security consultations, Prime Minister Netanyahu personally gave the order for the military to immediately carry out forceful strikes in the Gaza Strip that were direct and precise on Hamas terrorists and their infrastructure. Around 20 airstrikes took place in response to our soldier being attacked and killed. The Prime Minister made the decision with the IDF and then informed President Trump before the action was taken. It was a decision wholly made by the Prime Minister, although he gave the Americans a heads up before it took place. Hamas violated the framework by not returning all of our hostages 16 days ago and attacking our forces. Israel has overall security control, and it will enforce the framework in coordination with the U.S. allies, our U.S. allies. The media coverage made it clear that the announcement exposing Hamas's staged retrieval of one of our hostages did not generate immediate attention. Instead, it was Israel's response, airstrikes in Gaza aimed at enforcing the ceasefire framework, that triggered widespread coverage. This, in turn, created the misleading narrative that Israel strikes Gaza without cause. Context is crucial. The international community must recognize Hamas's deception and hold the terror group accountable for undermining efforts at de-escalation. Now, as part of Israel's series of strikes, Israel precisely targeted dozens of terror targets and terrorists that were struck and eliminated. The IDF struck more than 30 terrorists holding command positions within the terrorist organizations operating inside of the Gaza Strip. Now, around 10 a.m. this morning, the IDF began the renewed enforcement of the ceasefire in response to Hamas's violations. I'll now take a few questions. From Kano Wantabe, excuse me, I don't know how to pronounce this, Nikkei Japan. Will Israel conduct airstrikes in Gaza if there's a violation of the ceasefire deal by Hamas? How can we say that ceasefire is being held when the IDF conducts the attack occasionally? So clearly, I can tell how you're framing this question, and it's quite unfortunate because you are also in part of the camp who decided to probably just report Israel strikes Gaza. Israel struck Gaza and specifically targeting terrorists and its infrastructure in the Gaza Strip for a reason. One of our soldiers was killed and other soldiers were attacked yesterday. And this is why Israel conducted its strikes. And also to enforce the ceasefire agreement. Let's not forget, I will continue to reiterate day after day, we are demanding for all of our hostages to be returned. Hamas violated this ceasefire agreement 16 days ago. We were supposed to get all of our hostages back within a 72-hour window. Here I am, day 16 days later, and we still have 13 deceased hostages in captivity. As you can clearly see from yesterday's video that was released from our IDF drones, you can see Hamas has no interest in really returning our hostages. They just have an interest in keeping this war going. Or Shaked from Israel Hayom. There are reports that 2 bodies of hostages will be delivered to the ICRC by Hamas. Can you confirm that will be the case? And are there any indications that this is happening tonight? Or we did see those reports. In terms of that, Israel is ready at all times to receive our deceased hostages, although we have not received any indication they will be coming back right now. Hannah Julian from the Jewish Edition. Why is Israel continuing to support and observe the ceasefire when Hamas is not holding up its end of the deal and 13 murdered hostages still remain in Gaza? We are working extremely close with our American partners on this in full coordination, hand in hand. So every step that we take, we are coordinated with them. We want to see this war end. We want to see the 20-point plan come to fruition. We want to see Gaza pose no threat to the state of Israel. And we want to ensure Hamas has no part in governing the Palestinian people in the future. They are demilitarized, they are disarmed, Gaza is demilitarized as well, and demanding for the release of our 13 murdered hostages. So of course, Hannah, we are watching this very, very closely. Our patience is starting to run out after Hamas made a commitment to President Trump and the Americans that they will deliver on this plan. Here we are 16 days later, Hannah, and we still don't have our 13 hostages back. Our patience is running out for Hamas. Waiting for a few more questions. Let's see. Okay, so those are all the questions that I see right now. If anybody, of course, has any other questions, you can feel free to reach out to us here at the Prime Minister's office. Thanks so much for joining us.